Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday night, and it is time for us to fire up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How's my two favorite co-hosts here on Fire Up tonight?
Fan-friggin-tastic.
I'm doing good. Great. I'm recharged, energized from my vacation. Had a great time at the Grove City in Erie. If you ever get a chance.
Ralph, you just came back from some time off. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what you did.
Oh, we drove around to the Amish in Vermont and then in PA, New Wilmington. And we went to Youngstown, Ohio. We like an Italian place down there called Jimmy's. And we got to check that out. Then we came back. It was only like a 35-minute drive from Grove City to Youngstown, Ohio. And then we said a prayer. My nephew died at one of the hospitals down there. So we said a prayer and then we came back. And we went to Erie for a couple of days. We stayed in Grove City because of the rates of the hotels in Erie were sky high. So we stayed in Grove City and drove to Erie and back. And we had a really good time. It was a great trip. We had a lot of fun. Went to the state park. I did some fishing down by the pier. And if you saw my post, I was reeling one in. And so it was a fun trip. We're going back in August for 2 weeks. So, and we're staying in Erie this time. We found I got a nice deal on one of those sites. So,
Well, we're all going to say sorry for your loss, Ralph.
I appreciate that, Walter. Thank you. It's been 1 year. It's been over a year now. My nephew's up there with the Lord. So
won 3 out of 4. It isn't a bad week so far. And if you want to go even further back, there's 7 out of the last 10.
I see that.
So that's a pretty big, significant thing since the last time we talked 2 weeks ago, because I was like, let's sell everybody and just rebuild. And now this puts them in kind of that, maybe they are good enough for the bottom play-in spot. Maybe they should be buyers.
Well, the Pirates are in a situation where they need to start winning consistently. They'll take a series, and then they'll go into 2 or 3 games, lay an egg. They have to be more consistent. Derek Sheldon has to manage his pitching better because Skeens, he pitched today. He pitched 7 innings. As soon as he got to 99 pitches, Sheldon took him out. I thought he should have left him stay in there. The bullpen has been suspect for the Pirates for a while, and they're close to almost getting to 500. We're going to find out what happens with the Pirates.
The Pirates held on. They were playing my Brewers today, and they held on. You had no hit going into the 8th inning, and you pull them again. And so, but you had problems in the 8th inning. We had chances, but we couldn't score. And the 9th inning, you got shut us down. But we took 1 out of the 3, so I guess But my Brewers are still on top, so we're doing okay. So we do have to say hello to everyone. Okay, go as currently 85% here. Okay, yes.
85 degrees there in LA.
Yeah. Ralph, that may not be a manager's decision. That could come from upstairs for the Pirates.
Right.
Yeah, Ben Sherrington may have told Sheldon, don't let him pitch past 99 or 100 pitches. That could be. I don't know. But them two, Ben Sherrington and Derek Sheldon, they are suspect because right now this is going into year number 5 of this regime, and they have done practically nothing, pretty much. And I'm hoping this year maybe we get to 500. I'd be satisfied with that as a Pirate fan and someone who talks about the Pirates all the time on my show. I have people that come on that cover them, and on Sports Corner, and so on. So but it's we'll see what they do. If they make 500, I'd be satisfied. I don't even care if they go to a wild card. They need to. If they can get to that 500 mark, that would satisfy me, and that would be a push up from last year.
And that's a big thing. And hold the 500 mark. We're not talking about get there and then waiver and then get back there and then waiver again.
Yeah, he did that. He don't have a Boston Red Sox payroll. You're exactly right, Walter. I agree with you on that. We have a bad owner who is just in it to make money. He doesn't care about the fans. He doesn't care if his team succeeds. He keeps coming up. He just stuck his foot in his mouth last week. He made some comments about something with management or something. Well, if you don't like your management, then why don't you do something about it and fire him? You know what I mean? Instead of sitting there making comments, you don't give the management enough money or payroll to make the decisions they need to make us a winning team. Then you keep saying every year we have a team to make a championship. You know what? You're full of more baloney than the sandwich itself.
Mike Marsh here, baseball show. No, this is based off of the paper I write for,
Right.
and it's more of a well-rounded sports program. So if
Yes,
somebody
it
wants
is.
baseball, we'll talk baseball. We have
And that's what we're talking about.
Discuss in sports coming up, which Candy will be leading us shortly. And Candy, you'll love Mike Marsh because guess what?
What?
He's a Packers fan.
Yay!
Henry is my resident Chicago Bears fan that pays attention to the show. And of course, there's Smokin' Dad, the reason why I'm a Lions fan, who celebrated his 75th birthday yesterday. And I made sure every show we talked about it.
Happy belated birthday, Ken. All right, Mike, you betcha. Go Pack, go. Love it, love it, love it. So, this is not a baseball show. We talk, like Jeremy said, about all kinds of stuff, sports, everything. So the title said On the Horizon. What I wanted to briefly talk about for a couple different things is, and I'll just briefly go over them now, and we'll go into more depth. But the NBA signed a new media deal worth a lot of money, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the one thing that I really wanted to talk about was more on the horizon is the Olympics, because that doesn't happen every year. And so I think that's really exciting and something different. And yes, Walter, I did read that. We lost Monte Kiffin tonight.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, yes.
Yes. Very excellent coach, class guy. His son is a coach at Ole Miss. And,
nice.
So. Hello, Ken. How are you? I said happy birthday to you, as I said last night. And also I want to thank you for your service to this country.
It is time for my disclaimer that I do when those comments come up. Go ahead, put it up, and I'll say my disclaimer as everybody reads it. The disclaimer is, the views of Jeremy Ballroyd Jr. does not necessarily reflect the South Florida Tribune or kneecap fighting with the Motor City Lions podcast page. That being said, I love it that I got a troll that took my picture and called himself Jeremy Ballroyd Jr. It's awesome.
That is funny. That is funny.
But, Dad, would I cut David Montgomery to bring back Joik Bell? Joik Bell's been out of the league since 2016. No. Mike Marsh says, I call BS, LOL.
That is funny. That is funny.
But, let's see. With the Olympics.
Yes.
I'm excited to see the track and field events, of course. Yeah. I'm excited to see the basketball team perform. What I'm not excited to see so far, I'm not excited to see our flag football team that couldn't even beat Japan, that didn't even have a team till 2 years ago. And that's whether it's flag football or tackling. Both teams have lost to Japan. 3 weeks ago, it was the flag football team losing 42-17. Just a couple days ago, the tackle football team lost 42-24. What is going on with American football that we can't put a good team to beat up on other countries when we created? I want to see if Katie Ledecky can continue her dominance in the pool. That's a good one.
That is.
Now, I want to see Simonebiles, to be honest with you.
And the rest of Candy, I was going to say that.
I do want to talk a little bit. Jordan Childs, she was ready to quit gymnastics years ago, and she had been passed over for big assignments year after year due to her lack of consistency. The environment of gymnastics was toxic, and we all know that. But Simonebiles said, I see you. And in 2019, she invited Jordan to relocate from Washington to Texas to join the gym that she owns, a safe place, a positive environment. When Jordan arrived, the first thing they worked on was not building her skills, but instead building her confidence. 2 years later, the two of them are both headed to the Olympics.
That's awesome.
I think that's cool, and I can't wait to see them.
What I don't want to see, and I don't think these sports should even be in the Olympics, just because I don't consider them a sport. If I can drink beer and play it, it shouldn't be in the Olympics. Badminton and table tennis.
Oh
So
my!
I
So you don't like ping pong?
I like ping pong to play
Right.
in the basement with a couple beers with the buddies,
Right.
where we actually try to hit it back so fast that we nail somebody, so we can all laugh about it.
Mhm.
To watch that little pink welt show up on their cheek or their forehead.
Mhm. I think it was really cool of the Chicago Bears to give Jonathanowens, because when the Olympics are going on, that's when they're going to be starting, their team meetings and stuff like that, and they've given him a pass to be able to go over to Paris to be with Simone, his wife, to support her during the Olympics, which I think is pretty cool.
Competitive beach volleyball where people play for money. No, you can't, Walter Mitchell, but for fun you can. I don't know of a professional table tennis league. And if there is one, it's probably played in the back alley, like in that stupid movie that they had, Balls of Fury.
Oh, that's kind of funny. I can honestly say that back in the day when I was going to college, I actually was part of a championship team for an intramural volleyball team, and it was a sand pit. So we played the same, which is pretty much the same as beach volleyball, except I was in Wisconsin, so obviously we didn't have too many beaches there. But yes, we played in the sand, so that was pretty cool.
Walter Mitchell, I love him. Oh, there is one. It's on ESPN Ocho.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, Orlando.
And I do like that comment about Mike Marsh. Should the Pro Bowl players create the Olympic team? And I do agree with that. You could take the best of the top of the Pro Bowl players that were voted in from both
Yes.
AFC and NFC and make the American team and be competitive.
Well, and let's say the basketball team, they just did an exhibition against Canada, and they won. I think it was 86-72, I believe, or something like that.
So wait,
and they said
professional players can play defense in the Olympics, but not in the actual league. What's going on with that?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But they were saying that Drew Holiday did really well in that game. And some of the other teammates that aren't his normal teammates were impressed. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Orlando's trying to be cute. Florida Tribune Public are smart people. FTT are so fun.
Hey, you know what? That's true, though. I mean, yeah, guys are fun guys. Scott puts on some great shows. So does Candy. I mean, guys are all great people.
There, the NBA does one thing really, really, really great. Flop. Once, never again.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
It was funny because Scott just ran Burgundy Day, just like Anchorman reading off the cue card. It's there. I read it.
Oh, I know. Yep. And bad TV ratings, NBA. Yeah.
Well, that's because the NBA is not what it used to be, Candy and Jeremy. It's just a bunch of showboating. You know, before you play defense, you had some close, tough games. Now it's just shooting. You got, what is it, 189 to 200 or whatever it is now. You know, I really don't even cover it that often unless the playoffs are rolling around. I'm starting to get into it a little bit, so when I come on national podcasts, I can talk about it a little bit better. but I really never got into it because I got tired of it after Jordan left.
Look at our wonderful Detroit Pistons. They averaged 104.9 points per game, but they gave up 115.
Yeah.
The NBA agreed to terms on its new media deal. It's an 11-year agreement worth $76 billion that assures players' salaries will continue rising for the foreseeable future. It also, I thought, was very interesting. The games will continue being aired on ESPN and ABC, and now some are going to go to NBC and, of course, Amazon Prime. TNT Sports, which has been part of the league's broadcasting family since the 80s, could be on its way out. It has 5 days to match one of the deals. But it also says in the short term, the deal almost certainly means the league's salary cap will rise 10% annually, the maximum allowed by the terms of the most recent collective bargaining. So that means we're going to see NBA players make more and more and more money, and it also clears the way for the next major item on the NBA's to-do list, expansion.
So
And
let's
Go ahead.
talk about that for a second, because when you talk about the salary cap, a lot of people don't realize there's 2 tiers of luxury tax, and one has a lot more severe penalties than the other. The base is $138 million, I think it is. And the first tier threshold is actually at 152, which, okay, that's a lot of money when you're talking about, what is it, 11 men they can carry total on the roster? Okay.
Right.
One's inactive and 10 is active, correct? If I'm not mistaken, you've got 5 bench players, one that is a sub in case someone gets hurt, but he's not active. He's basically there in the jogging suit the whole time. And then you got your 5 starters. So let's get into this, because at that 152 mark, you lose like a late second round pick, because isn't it only 2 rounds for the draft? I think it is now, or is it 3? It's 2, right?
I think it's 2.
Yeah, so you lose your late second round pick. If you're over that mark, you cannot sign any supermax players from out of free agency. And your trades, the money has to be even in order for it to work. And you can throw in picks, but the value has to be equal to what the other player's contract. And then you go to the next tier, which is 172, and that's where you can't sign anybody but a league minimum player. You forfeit any second round pick you have, and the next year's first round pick. If you exceed the 180, you cannot perform any basketball operations unless you are under that 180 mark. So in other words, you got to gut your roster. And you got to gut the players that have more salary than the dead cap, because they have dead cap in basketball just like in football. So it's a very fine line there. So if it goes up 10%, that means that base of 138 goes up $13.8 million, which will put you at 151.3. And then the next year it goes up 10% of that. Then the next year it goes up 10% of that.
They're saying Luka Doncic could be making around $80 million in the 2030 to 31 season, and somewhere in the mid 2030s, the top players could be earning somewhere near $100 million per season.
Let me say something about this TV deal. It seems like they're trying to get back into the public television. Like I'm talking about CBS, major networks. They're getting away from ESPN. It looks like, maybe, I don't know, but ABC is owned by ESPN to begin with. Okay, they're getting away from TNT, and the reason I know this is because AEW, All Elite Wrestling, last year, their contract ran out with TNT and TBS, and they were talking about moving to some other network because they kept, with the NBA and all that, they kept on blocking them out or moving them to another night or another time. So AEW got disgusted with that. They were going to move. Well, now AEW can stay in place there with TNT and TBS because NBA is moving on from them, and that's going to be a nice thing. but it looks like they're going to be on the networks, NBC, CBS, ABC. If they are, that's going to be good for people who like to watch basketball that have a converter box and don't have cable or don't have any streaming service or anything like that. There are people out there like that.
Yes, Dad, I didn't get a chance to answer because we were covering the subject of the salary cap stuff.
Amazon and Peacock as well. I have Peacock. I don't have Amazon.
But yes, the answer is Larry Bird.
Yeah.
But I think he got exec of the year, but I think the coach was somebody else, if I'm not mistaken. But it could have been coach of the year. I don't remember. I just don't remember him coaching. I remember him being the executive of the Indiana Pacers. And the reason why is he grew up there. 11 players, 172 million annually. That's worse than the QB market. They play a minimal contact sport. NFL players are the most violent pro sport.
I'm not sure about that.
Hockey. I think hockey.
I would say hockey.
Yeah, hockey players are underpaid. I mean, you got guys making $700,000 that do better than some stars that get paid. So that's a very underpaid sport, and that's physical too. So and there's fights, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yep. Right now, it's 11 players that are active on your roster with one in the street clothes, like I said. The other 4 players are in your reserves. They're not even. No, they're not even. They may be there, but they're not even dressed. They're in street clothes, and there has to be some major injuries in order for any of those reserves to be able to make the active roster in a game.
Michael, I agree with you. Hockey is nowhere near as violent as it was 20 years ago because they've really cut back on some of the fighting. So I do agree with that, but it is still more violent than football because let's face it, in football, you're using your body only, whereas in hockey, you do have a stick and your body. So you can use both and you can get hit by either. So
And I was right. He did coach the Pacers, but he did get exec of the year a few years after he got out of coaching because he's been the exec for the Indiana Pacers ever since. I think he's about ready to retire, and they're looking for someone to fill his shoes.
Okay, so here's one. Is anybody watching Copa America, the soccer?
I can't. USA men's soccer. For shame, shame, shame. That's worse than the football. You lost to Uruguay on a penalty kick to get bounced. You got beat by Peru. Again, a country that has less population than California.
Well, you know what, Jeremy? Our athletes got caught with their pants down because, I mean, it's just, it's crazy. Maybe they underestimated their team. They had to.
Same bum coach that lost the World Cup for us with the same championship team we had the time before with the other coach. That coach retired, and we haven't been the same team since.
Right.
The reason why I bring it up is obviously there are some people. I mean, most of you that are our audience don't live in South Florida. South Florida is a hodgepodge, and we get a lot of different people. I actually work with, I would say, at least 3 or 4 people that are from Columbia, and so they were all watching last night and the big game and the big game this weekend. That's why I'm just bringing it up. Like I said, we talk about everything on Fire Up. You just never know what we might be talking about.
Hatter's house, Reggie Miller is his favorite UCLA fan. Hey, I have no problem with the Bruins, especially now that they're a part of the Big Ten instead of the 2-pack. I mean, Pac-12.
I do want to say hello to RXJ. What's up, guys? Hi, Ralph. Hi, Candy. Hi, JB. Make sure we trying to get everybody, in the ship on the. Let's see, what do we got? Our best are playing football, basketball, and track. Who cares about soccer?
Yeah, pretty much.
I get that. Okay, guys, what kind of topics do you want to bring to the table tonight? Anything on your mind besides, we're not going to my town just quite yet, but anything else hitting you?
Well, I wrote my first draft profile so I could read it off because my fans asked me about the guy we traded up for in the 4th round. So I went into detail about offensive tackle Giovanni Manu out of the University of British Columbia, who checks in at a freakish 6'7" tall, 352 pounds. He ran a 4.9640 at his pro day, which had half of the Canadian College Football League in attendance and the scouts from the pros there. He also had a vertical of 33.5 inches at that size. To put that in perspective, he was a basketball player. He can dunk at 352 pounds.
Wow.
Think about that for a second.
Oh my.
So what I did notice is he's freakishly strong too. He did 34 bench reps at 225 pounds, which puts him into the speed, the size, the weight, the wingspan, the vertical. He had a 10'5" broad jump. That's explosiveness. So this guy, when they converted all of his numbers from the Canadian College Football League Combine into RAS, which is Kent Platt, the math bombs score for relative athletic scores that a lot of GMs go by, it was a 9.65 out of 10, which means he is in the upper 85% of every tackle ever tested since 1996 when they started tracking the scores. So to put that in perspective, he had a better RAS score than Joe Thomas. And I'm not, Jeremy, you're making me have daydreams of him and Panay on the same side of the offensive line. Well, it's funny because he's not a cousin, but he's from the same Tongan tribe of Samoa that the Sewells are from. So they may be related as a distant cousin or something like that, because those tribes, once you get so far back, they actually end up being related, because eventually that tribe started from two people, a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did notice is he does tend to be too upright. He uses his hands well. He uses his force to push defenders yards away from contact from the running back and the quarterbacks. It was funny to watch the game film, but he's a little bit too upright for NFL standards, and he tends to hold on as the guys are falling to the ground. He's holding them in the right spot inside the shoulder pads like you're supposed to, but he gets dragged down with him. And in the NFL, if you don't attempt to get off a player you land on right away, you get called for an inadvertent holding call, because you cannot impede the player from being able to move or get up. And at his weight and size, yes, he should be able to get up fast, but I think 352 pounds falling at a dead run might be hard to get up right away.
I agree.
But with Hank Fraley and the job he's been doing with our offensive line and training, I think we could probably see him taking the field as soon as next year, if not the year after. But we will see him in preseason, because they want to see what he's got against NFL talent and elite speed and strength.
You got a good coach there, Jeremy. Hank Fraley's from Pittsburgh. Well, went to Robert Morris University when Joe Walton was the coach there. So Hank Fraley is a great guy, good coach. I wish the Steelers had him.
At one time, he was one of the best centers in the league too.
Yeah.
He played with Philly.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. That island is something else. Michigan got
RXJ said something about Skeens. We have a gem. Yes, let's hope we can keep him. He turned down a long-term contract with the Pirates before the off season, or during the off season. So we'll see what Skeens does or goes.
You know, and as much as I hate to say it, Paul Skeens, the way he talks in interviews and something like that, he reminds me of Eastbound and Down, Kenny Powers. Because that was the portrayal of a power pitcher that wasn't getting differences. He's actually in the pros. This guy couldn't get out of the minor league system in Eastbound and Down. But it was funny the way he talks. I was like, he goes, "Yep, I come in, I mow him down, I sit back down." It's stuff like that. When he says stuff like that, I just die. I was like, oh my God, it's Kenny Powers in real life.
I'm confident in all the sports on our team, but I have a ton of stock in that O-line. Nothing but productive and grit. That's how you win football games.
100%.
Yep, that's. I think it'll be interesting. And now my question especially to you, Ralph.
Okay.
So there's a quarterback, not controversy, but competition in Pittsburgh. And the question is who do you think your starter will be at the beginning of the season, and who do you think will be the starter at the end of the season?
Well, here's what I know. Russell Wilson's the starter. That's the bottom line. They pretend to have a competition. Mike Tomlin does this every year, and I wish he wouldn't do it. Okay, just name your starter, just like he's done with Ben Roethlisberger. We all knew that. Okay, last couple of years he's been kind of dinking around with some of this stuff. Okay, look, Russell Wilson's going to be the starting quarterback, but he has a short leash with Justin Fields in the wings. Okay, my question to the Steelers is: are we going to have to rebuild again because Russell Wilson's on a 1-year contract, and the Steelers just turned down the 5th-year extension for Justin Fields? They just turned that down, or that option year, or whatever it's called. Okay, so what are the Steelers going to do? Are we going to have to rebuild again at quarterback, or are we going to be Russell Wilson's happy to play here with the $1 million he got? Of course, I'd be happy too if Denver Broncos were paying me whatever they're paying me, and then I can go to the Steelers for a discount and play for a good. Well, everyone thinks Mike Tomlin's a good coach, but I don't think he is. I think he's a mediocre coach that just gets lucky every year, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. He hasn't had an assistant of his own that came through his coaching tree like Dungy and the rest of them yet that has become a head coach. So, right there tells you that Tomlin is a mediocre coach. But what I'm saying is I think that Russell Wilson will be the starting quarterback. Justin Fields will back him up. And don't forget, we have Kyle Allen. Don't sell him out either. He backed up Josh Allen up in Buffalo and did a really good job. So, we have 3 decent quarterbacks that I think, my co-host on Sports Corner Smoking, Jim Frazier, he thinks the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl this year. And I told everybody that if the Steelers even make it to the Super Bowl, I will do all my shows naked.
There you go, Orlando. Tune into RW Media on YouTube because
thank you.
Man boobies.
The Steelers will never go to the Super Bowl, mark my words, with Mike Tomlin, ever again.
Okay.
And the only reason they went the last 2 times was because they were with Cowers players. Okay.
I did want to address one thing. That 5th-year money is a doozy of the rookie contract, and you can't spread out the cap hit. He's exactly right. And what they might be thinking is that they could do something long-term.
Right.
Probably going to be high dollar with Justin Fields if he looks like some type of a valid starter. And I think you guys got a decent QB coach and might be able to make something out of Justin Fields. Look at.
Yeah, we still have Mike Sullivan, and I think we got another guy there that I think his name's Azani or something. We just brought him in from the Jets. Yeah, so I mean,
that guy was the athletic quarterback QB coach.
Yes,
how to throw better on the move, which is what Justin does need to develop. He's good at doing plays out of the pocket. He just doesn't have the right form.
Oh yeah. See, RJ agrees with me on that the Steelers won the Super Bowl with Tomlin, and they lost the Super Bowl with Tomlin with Cowers players. He still had all Cowers players still there. And then when he won the one in 2009, that was with Cowers players. So, and we haven't won a playoff game since 2016. So where does the league and the players and the national people get off that Mike Tomlin is such a great coach? He's a mediocre coach, and the only reason he stays here is because the Steelers don't ever want to admit they're wrong. Art Rooney II don't want to have egg on his face, and he already does, with a bunch of other stuff, but he doesn't want to have egg on his face on this because they already have egg on their face with the Kenny Pickett thing. So, I mean,
this, Michael Marsh. I wouldn't want Cam Newton anywhere near Justin Fields because he did start to get a little bit of diva attitude towards the end in Chicago there. I would rather him go to Mike Vick, who humbled himself after he got in trouble the way he came back to Philly. I think that would be a better mentor for Justin Fields than Cam Newton.
Yeah, and Mike Vick got a chance to play with the Steelers right after he had that dogfighting incident. So I mean, and Mike Vick, was able to resurrect himself, and it was great. And I wanted to see what Dwayne Haskins was going to do, and it's too bad he got into that accident. We talked about that last night, Jeremy, on your show. And I mean, it was really sad that I wanted to really see what he could do in Pittsburgh. I really would have been, and he would have been into that quarterback battle too.
What happened to Dwayne Haskins happened in the middle of the afternoon at 12:30 in the afternoon. It wasn't 12:30 at night. It was a daytime party, and after they did the autopsy, they found out he was drugged.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's why he walked out into traffic the way he did. It wasn't because he was so drunk he didn't know what he was doing. He was
drugged and he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, yeah. So
the witnesses that were there goes, "Wow, we just knew the guy was blitzed out." The next thing you know, he walks out in front of a dump truck.
Well, Mitch Trubisky, Jeremy, and I think this screwed up his head mentally. Do you know Dwayne Haskins was in Florida because he was at Mitch Trubisky's house because he was having a summit to get to know his players, okay, or all the players on the team, and he did this. He did it again this past year, again, and he's had the players down, and now Russell Wilson had the players down at his one house in California or Vegas or wherever he lives. Okay, he did the same thing Trubisky did when he got here. But Trubisky, it's in his head that, hey, wait a minute, Dwayne Haskins was here. He was at my house, and he went to a party, and then he ended up. You know what I mean? And that, I think that messed up Trubisky's head. I really believe that, and that's why he played terribly when he was with the Steelers.
And you know what, Tomlin, the reason why the media is so high on him, he's never had a losing season. And that's what a lot of fans and the media hang their hat on. But if you look at it, it's been an exercise in mediocrity.
Yes. Yes.
Look at they went 11-0. In 10 of those games, they won by 3 points or less.
Yes. Yes.
And I sat there, I go, as much as I hate to say this, and I think you even said this because I went back and watched some of your old shows. This is the most fraudulent 11-0 team I've seen in NFL history.
Yes, Jeremy, you're right. And I've been saying it for a long time. I call mediocre Mike, and people get mad at me about that. Oh, we got some butt kissers here in the media here. Oh, Mike Tomlin's so great. Oh, Mike Tomlin, this and that. I've argued with them about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't get it. Look, it's all about winning Super Bowls. Bill Cowher said, if you're not in this to win Super Bowls, you don't need to be in the NFL. And that's what it's about. And he hasn't won any championships or playoff games since 2016. He hasn't had an assistant coach that he has under him that has ever been an NFL head coach, or they've all left and gone to college, or they're coaching high school, or they're doing some other things when they leave the Steelers. They don't become a head coach or make themselves better. Okay.
Or they go and become a lesser assistant in the NFL. They go from offensive coordinator to like the assistant to the quarterback coach.
Yeah, assistant to the assistant in the movie theater from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Remember that one? You're the assistant to the assistant manager at the movie theater. You know,
also known as Matt Canada.
Yeah, exactly, Matt Canada. Yeah, that was. He's friends with him. His son Dino played for Maryland, and that's how him and Matt Canada became friends. And that's how Matt Canada got the job with the Steelers. Because don't forget, he was interim head coach down there at Maryland when Randy Edsall got fired, and he was the interim coach there. And Dino Tomlin was playing there. That's Mike Tomlin's kid. And so I'm surprised we didn't draft Dino Tomlin.
Hey, you know what, Orlando? It's funny you say that because Shaq told Barkley that on TNT.
Barkley makes me laugh when he's on. Yeah,
MJ. At least my team did.
Yeah.
Remember the year that they went to the championships? They knocked the Chicago Bulls out of the playoffs.
Yes, they did. I remember those days.
And three-peat when Jordan first came back, if I remember right. Isn't that right? After he came back from all that first year,
right.
they made the playoffs but bounced out.
Yes.
And that was by Orlando.
Yes.
In the best of 3, right? Or the best of 5 series, they had to win 3. Because that's when it used to be 5, 7, and 7, right?
Right. Right. See, folks, we talk about more than just baseball in this Fire Up show, and I'm fired up tonight because I'm rejuvenated from my vacation. Man, I had a great time, and I'm going back to Erie. I love Erie. I'm going back there. I love the fishing. I love the state park. I love it all. So.
And Mark didn't even have a comeback because there was nothing to come back from on that. Because he goes, I beat MJ with Penny Hardaway. That's like saying you beat him with Spud Webb.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Candy, what's your take, real quick?
Yeah, Candy. I'm sorry. We got into the mediocre Mike Tomlin conversation here. Sorry, Candy.
No, I agree. I think they need to give Justin Fields a chance because I really think that he hasn't had a fair chance. I think Russell Wilson, he will start, but I do think that they will get tired of him and that they will put Justin in to see what they have. I think they need to put him in with their coaches, with that team, see what he can, do and how he can improve because Russell Wilson is not your future. Russell Wilson is 1 year. That's it. No. And if you want to know what if you have a future with Justin Fields, you've got to start building it now. And he's not a rookie that this is his first year in. Like you've got to. Yeah. I agree. Like when a rookie comes in, he really should sit. He should really watch. You shouldn't. I believe you shouldn't be throwing him in. Granted, there are generational talents that maybe it will work for, but not all teams do. And I guess because I come from the Green Bay, the last couple of quarterbacks.
Right.
You draft somebody, you sit them, you let them watch, you develop them, and then you bring them in.
Well, that's what the Steelers should have did, Candy, with Kenny Pickett, and they didn't. You know what I mean? I think Kenny Pickett would have been a better quarterback if he would have sat out for a couple years, like you said, like Green Bay did with Jordan Love. And you know what's funny, Candy? Everybody laughed about that. They laughed. They said, "Oh, Jordan Love's sitting behind. He's doing this, he's doing that." But he learned, and he wrote his notes, and he understood, and he kept his mouth shut, and he learned, and he listened, and that's why he's doing what he's going to do, what he's doing today.
I think the true test will be this year.
Yes, absolutely. You
know, we really have to see what we have, and this year will be the true test. It'll be interesting to see if we give him and what kind of a contract we give him before the year. Because now that, the NFL was handed down that all those penalties, they're saying that his contract might not be as high as he would have wanted had he signed before that punishment came down. So we'll see. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I'm going to ask you a realistic question here because it was a tale of two halves with Jordan Love.
Right.
If you look at it, the first half, while Aaron Jones, Jair Alexander, and Eric Stokes were struggling to take the field, and Mike Marsh, don't hate me, Jordan Love struggled for most of those games. They won those games, the few games that the defense stepped up. Then, at the end, when he had everybody back and healthy, he looked great. He had an 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He had a 103.9 rating, which was second highest in the league, only to Pat Mahomes. So I'm not saying it wasn't great, but it was only 7 games of a 17-game season that he looked like that. The other 10 games, he was mediocre at best.
Right. Right.
So that being said, with a full season of tape on him and they see what he does really well and that he can carve up a zone, so why not put everybody in man and shut him down? It seems funny. What did Detroit do at their secondary? They signed a man guy, they traded for a man guy, and they drafted two-man.
A man guy, right? Yeah, that's the best way to play corner, Jeremy. Is man-to-man coverage and shut down corner.
I am sick of hearing these other podcasters going, well, Brian Branch was the best nickel in the league last year. Yes, he was, but he was put there so he could develop as a defensive back, period, because we had a deep safety room at the time. CJGJ wasn't re-signed because, well, let's face it, he was a bum. He did stupid stuff, took stupid penalties, and cost us games. Tracy Walker, great tackler, great in the box safety. Not so good at coverage when you have 8 passes hit you in the hands and you drop all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I want to thank RXJ for the compliments. Thank you.
yes. And then Kirby Joseph gets to go back because the reason why he was so good his rookie season, he played his natural position of free safety because Tracy Walker was hurt. So now he gets to go back there and play single high safety, playing center field and reading a quarterback's eyes, which is one of the things that he was touted about coming out of college. And I think it's crazy he played out of position, had just as many interceptions last year as he had his rookie year.
So, Orlando, you're asking about the antitrust and the lawsuit. A Los Angeles jury ordered the NFL last month to pay $4.7 billion in damages and another $96 million in a class action lawsuit that accused the league of violating antitrust laws in distributing out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on the subscription service. The league could be liable for a total of $14.39 billion because of the triple damages are tripled.
Yeah, they're making every team, Candy, pay $450 million. So that's every team. If that happens, yeah.
Read to the very end of the article, it says, if that happens, but with the antitrust law that the NFL won with the EA Sports monopoly thing, it is less likely that the tripling happens. So if it stays at that 4.3?
Yeah.
If it stays there, it actually breaks down to 149 point whatever million dollars. So you know what that means? 1 year. 1 year only. The NFL owners don't get a profit. That's what it means.
They don't. Not at all. No.
So who gets that money? Anybody who was able to prove that they had when the ticket price went up, and I think it was
the government.
No, 30% of it stays with the lawyer firm. That's automatic on these class action lawsuits.
Right.
So what happens is if you contact the law firm and they have to put out a blanket email, so check your spam. That's where it goes, people. If you ever were a Sunday ticket subscriber, you've got an email sitting in your spam box if you haven't deleted it already. And it'll say, did you have Sunday ticket? You may be eligible for compensation. You'll have to move that to your primary bucket and then answer the questions and provide a picture of your receipt or your bill of lading from when you paid for your subscription to Sunday Ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to break down to $5,436 per household right now if nobody makes their claims. It's just for the ones that they had said have claimed it.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is Bally Sports went bankrupt, and they tried to shoot for enough money to take them out of bankruptcy from Xfinity and Charter, and they both said, kick rocks, we're not bailing you out. So Bally Sports is now just a streaming app.
Mm-hmm.
This is Dish Network. This is YouTube TV. This is everybody who has had the Sunday ticket since 2006.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's really sad that this happened this way, because somebody got greedy, and it's amazing that this lawsuit's even happening. And, I forget who said it here, it's going to be appealed in the Supreme Court. So it's going to be a while before they get their money on these lawsuits. People drag them out in court. Things like that happen legally. So it's going to be a while before they get their money, or even if they get it.
And don't forget, if the NFL appeals it, it'll be another year.
They have exactly. Right.
90 days to file an appeal after a decision's been made. So it was done in a civil court in LA, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now it would have to go to the California State Supreme Court next because of the amount of money it is. It skips right over county and it goes straight to state.
Yep.
So then if they have to appeal it again, it'll go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we know they'll throw them out. Half of them are in the NFL's pocket.
Right. Right.
Yes, so the NFL literally can just push this off as long as they can, unless they just want to get it done. Because there's always that chance that if you push it to the state Supreme Court and they do their, I don't think it'll affect the cap.
No,
like
it's not going to affect the cap at all. No.
It doesn't triple.
No.
If it doesn't triple, it'll be 1 year of the owner's profits is all the teams will lose.
Yep. I agree.
Yes. I had heard when Bally Sports folded, teams like the Brewers were given the option to void their contract. That is accurate. Absolutely 100%. Candy heard the same thing down there in South Florida about the Marlins and the teams down there in Florida.
Yeah, Walter, they have to appeal because these owners are not going to pay this money. So I know they're beating up on Goodell to make sure that this gets appealed, because I can just tell you right now, these owners are not going to pay. Kraft's not going to do this. Rooney's not going to do this. None of these owners won't want any of this. Blank and all them other ones.
None of
Jerry Jones. You think Jerry Jones is going to want to fork out $450 million? No.
That's where I was going. The sole owners won't do that. Those conglomerate owners, like the ones that own multiple teams and multiple franchise and multiple sports, those guys don't have that big an issue because they're still making money somewhere else.
Right.
But like the people in Pittsburgh, Hollis, Sheila Hamp, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft,
the Hunt family in Kansas City. I mean, you got a bunch of these owners that just know, and they have the power, Jeremy. They have the power with the commissioner. And like I said, they're probably burning up his phone now and saying, hey, look, you know what I mean? We got to get this done. Who's Green Bay owned by, Candy? Aren't they owned by some kind of conglomerate with a bunch of people? Is that accurate, or?
They're owned by shareholders.
They're owned by the city, right, or the state there, or something like that.
By 1% of the city. Let's get it right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I that's why I'm asking, because I don't know. I mean,
Gloria Estefan owns 5% of Miami.
Okay.
And that's every sports team in Miami. Smartest
in Miami
I ever heard of. She said there, I'm going to buy 5% stock in every sports franchise, professional wise, in the city of Miami. She just printed her money for the rest of her life.
Yeah, of course, David Tepper's not going to pay because he's paying all these coaches that he fired. He don't want to pay for that. Oh man.
Matt Rule is still making money.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He just hired somebody, a name offensive coordinator, and I forgot who it was, but I know he just hired somebody.
I like to hire myself. The guy has been a key whisperer wherever he goes. He made Geno Smith look relevant again.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Geno Smith paid. And then he goes to Tampa, made Baker Mayfield way better than I've ever seen him look. And now he's going to be there with a young guy finally. He's done with guys in their second and third contract.
Well, see, Bryce Young is another example of what we talked about earlier, Jeremy and Candy, about these quarterbacks who, you just throw them out there like they said to the Wolves or whatever. Bryce Young was another one. Frank Reich didn't, and Jim Caldwell, because Caldwell and Deuce Staley and all of them. I mean, he had a great coaching staff there. I just don't understand why they didn't win. Something went wrong there. And rushing Bryce Young into that fold,
Justin Caldwell was passing game coordinator, and let's see, he's had Andrew Luck and Matt Stafford were the last two people he was passing game coordinator for. You know what the difference is between them and Bryce Young? 7 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. Bryce Young's a short guy, so. Okay, Candy, what do we got next?
We're on. I think we're going to my town.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ralph, tell us what's going on in your town.
Well, my town, everybody's talking about Paul Skeens because Paul Skeens is going to the All-Star game. We have Brian Reynolds also going to the All-Star game. Rumors are circulating that we're going to be trading Key Brian Hayes possibly. He got signed to a big contract. He's only good defensively. His bat stinks and he's hurt all the time. So, the rumors are going around that we may be trading him to get a bunch of players. We need some help with the bullpen. The bullpen, which was supposed to be our strength, is not looking good this year. And they've blown a lot of games. And as I mentioned earlier, Derek Shelton has made some bad decisions. So has Ben Cherington on a bunch of stuff. And I think this is being their number 5 year. I think next year, if they don't at least go 500 this year, I think they should be fired, both of them. And I think that this team needs to go out. Bob Nutting needs to either sell the team, but he says he's not. He's going to give it over to his daughters or whatever. I don't even know if they want this team. Mark Cuban offered him double of what he was asking for it, and he said it's not for sale. So, the Pirates will never be relevant as long as Bob Nutting is the owner. That's what's going on in my town.
Okay, Jeremy.
Well, it's a tale of two stories. There's two trade options available that Detroit could do. One means they're selling, and one means they're buying, in my opinion. If you trade away Tariq Struble and get a haul of prospects and a couple of consistent bats, you're selling the season. He's our ace. He is the guy that 90% of the time shuts down another team's offense. Jack Flaherty, on the other hand, is a guy we signed as a 1-year rental.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty. Yeah,
he's been having a great season, but he's been inconsistent and he has had injury problems before. If they're going to get one or two bats out of Flaherty, and you can trade him away and get two consistent bats, they don't have to be all-star. I'm just talking the guys that hit above 260. If you can do that, which is almost the league average now that the offenses are coming up, you get rid of Flaherty, you get two bats that bat above 260, and now you're putting yourself with enough offense to protect the power hitters that are hitting in front and behind them in the lineup. Keep Struble, trade Flaherty, and make this team good enough to push for the playoff spot. That's my opinion, because consistent bats is what's needed in front and behind. Gio Urshela is a great leadoff guy. He's batting above 260. You get another bat to put in the second spot that hits above 260. And then you get a guy to bat sixth, right behind the power guys at 3, 4, and 5 that hits 260 to start off the back end of the rotation in the batting order.
So I have a little bit two small things. One, I'm going to rant a little bit. The Milwaukee Brewers are having a really good year, and nobody expected it.
No.
They are top of their division, and yet they only have 2 representatives in the All-Star game. The Phillies, granted, are having a great year too, but they have 7. How can there be such a disparity between 2 teams that are on the top? I would understand if the Brewers were last in their division. Yes, Mr. Jeremy?
Because the All-Star game is a popularity vote. Philadelphia has 10
It's just like the presidential election. You have the electoral college, that does that, and then they call it the popular vote when we vote. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing in Major League Baseball. They tell fans to vote their favorite players, and so Philly just voted more, or whatever. But there's politics involved in this too, Candy.
It's not just the fans. There is also coaches and players do too. And
right. The fan voting is 80% of it.
That's
what it comes down to. All the early All-Star ballots that have been announced is due to the fan voting.
Right.
What happens now is the coaches and the players vote, and that's when you get your alternates in. because sometimes there's some of those guys that don't want to play in the All-Star game because if they don't have an All-Star bonus in their contract, why should they? They can have the time off just like every other guy that sits at home.
Right, but they've already announced them too at this point, because isn't the game like Tuesday night or something? It's coming up real soon.
Yeah, I believe it is. And I have to compete with it with Sports Corner, so maybe I should move it to another night. But
Mitchell asked the question, do we have some indecent photos of Javi Baez? He needs to go. I have a suggestion that we could do, and I think it would work, because there's a player languishing on a bottom feeder in the NL Central right now, which is the St. Louis Cardinals. And his bat has been atrocious, but his glove is better than Baez right now, and it's Arenado. Rumor is he's on the trade block. Give him a change of scenery. Send Baez and Torkelson, because then the salaries match up, to St. Louis and get Arenado back and see if the change of scenery does something for his bat. Because if he was on a team that has a chance to contend, it might just wake up because he'll have a positive attitude.
And then I'm going to say kudos to the Big Ten. The Big Ten have the most representation over in the Olympics than any other conference, with 116 athletes. So kudos to them for having so many athletes that have kept going and that are going to be representing in the Olympics.
Yeah. I heard that there is like 15 to 20 from Michigan. There's 15 to 20 from Wisconsin. There's another 10 to 15 from Minnesota. There's 10 from Iowa. There's another 15 to 20 from Ohio State. And it's all teams. Think about it. The Big Ten has had a lot of national championships won in multiple sports, whether summer or winter. And I expect it's going to be close to the same come the Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Anything else you guys want to talk about tonight before we go?
Well, Joey Chestnut won another hot dog eating contest, and he didn't need Nathan's. So he won that military one that he participated in, and he gave some money to the military as well. And I'm happy that he was able to do that instead of Nathan's and what they pulled on him. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once he got a sponsor away from Nathan's and Hebrew Nationals and everything, because he used to be sponsored by both of them.
Right.
At one time. Once he went away from them and didn't renew his contract, and he went to, and the rumor is that it's a vegan hot dog company.
It is.
So,
it is.
And that is what
they do have vegan hot dogs, yes.
Right. But it's a vegan hot dog company that he's sponsored by now, and that's what they're upset about, because
Correct.
that is their competition. And and if anybody knows anything about these vegan processing plants, they actually put more CO2 in the air than any farm or cow with methane or anything else. That's whether it's pleather, that's whether it's food or anything else, because of the process it takes to make it taste edible. Oh, I understand that, Walter. But that is why Nathan's and Hebrew National got mad, and he will not be at any of the meat-filled hot dog contests because they run them all.
Right. Correct. Well, guys, it's been a great show. Let's go around.
Yes, it has.
And see how they can get a hold of you. Ralph, let's start with you. How can people see you, watch you, support you?
Well, you can start off with Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms. This is where all my shows are on. Also, I have my own YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. Check out all my shows. I have multiple shows on there. And I'm starting up a Wrestle Talk show on TV, PCTV here in Pittsburgh, starting real soon. I have to work out some things with them. And that's getting ready to happen. And in August, we're going live with Sports Corner TV on PCTV in Allegheny County, Pittsburgh area. And I'm also getting ready to work on an internet radio station called Mix LR. I'm getting ready to get on there with some stuff. And I'm getting ready to get my own Roku channel and also on Spotify. So I'm moving up, as the Jeffersons say, I'm moving on up. So
That's awesome. So, but Ralph, checking out your
Oh,
channel.
by the way, Saturday at 9 a.m. is the External Bum Show with Scott Morganroth, myself. Leo Haggerty will not be joining us this week. He has other obligations with his camps. But I have a fill-in for him, and that's Jeremy B. here. And also Mike Sisak from Amped Up Sports will join us as well. So we have a nice panel for Saturday morning at 9 a.m., and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, including Cam Sutton. We're going to talk about Monty Kiffin. Where a lot of different topics we talk about. And the best one part of them all is at the beginning of the show when we talk about our bum that we all have for the show. Maybe someday you'll come on, Candy, and you'll have a bum to bring with you on the show. It's just like bringing a child to work day. Bring a bum to the show, you know.
Sounds like a plan.
9 a.m. I'm sorry, Jeremy?
It's like bring a kid to work day without the kid.
Without the kid, yeah, but this is a bum. So, you know.
So you said 9 a.m. Saturday? Is that
9 a.m. Saturday, Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X platforms.
So,
okay.
Eric Dalton said vegan hot dog is what you eat when the dumpster is empty.
Hey, Hebrew National makes good hot dogs. They used to sell them. They sell them at Heinz Field or Acrisure Stadium, and I've had them, and they're very good hot dogs. They're not bad.
Also, Mitchell says, but they're paying him more than he was getting from Nathan's. That's
Nathan's,
easy.
yeah.
Charge $22 for a 6-pack of hot dog.
Okay, Mr. Jeremy, how can people see you and support you?
Well, of course, you can find me right here on Fire Up, occasionally on Inside the Pigskin on the South Florida Tribune channel, right here on YouTube. You can also find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com, where you can see my writings, or maybe go and buy some merchandise from the SouthFloridaTribune.com store. Then you can find me.
And that's coming up soon here.
Yep. And then you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where I am live 9 times a week now. Holy smokes. I do Monday through Friday at noon to 1 p.m. with Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. I have Monday, which is the NFL mashup between me and Leonard talking about the Giants and the Lions together. Then I have the NFL Roundtable Talks, where you've seen Mike Marsh in the comments all night. He actually is one of the guests on the show to talk football with me. And we also have Mike Johnson, who's a Vikings fan. We have Jordan. We call him Jordan Edelman because he looks like Edelman, but he's 6'4", so we know that's not his illegitimate father. But it's fun. But he's a Patriots guy. Then, of course, we got Will, the Panthers guy. We got Ralph Williams, the Steelers guy. And occasionally we'll have Robert Scope. Maybe one day we'll have Candy or Scott in there. Who knows? But the Sports Exchange is usually going about the same time. So that's kind of hard to do. And then Friday is the Lions Fan Cave chat. And now Sunday, we're debating on doing something different until the season starts, because Leonard's been working a lot and that's his day off. So we're thinking about doing a football tailgate cooking type of party where we talk about food, and Leonard's actually going to do it live right from his Blackstone grill in the backyard.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
That was a lot to say.
That was.
Of course, thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been amazing all night.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
T-Bone,
And I welcome the folks here to come and check out my stuff and Jeremy's stuff and Candy in the South Florida Tribune.
What is a vegan hot dog? A limp carrot.
Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of quick things. The South Florida Tribune published a book. My husband wrote it. It's called Lessons Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Scott wrote it. It's about his 40-plus years in the media and how it has changed over the course, how media has changed over the years. There's a picture of him as a young guy interviewing none other than Muhammad Ali. You got to buy the book.
See it myself, I wouldn't believe it. No,
It's available Amazon, Kindle, Barnes and Noble, Apple and Google Books. We are working on the audio version coming later. We're working on it. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Go to our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can see the writings of none other than Smoke and Jeremy B. You can see my pictures. Scott writes, George Eichhorn writes. We get the transcripts from the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and the Lions. We put those up, and a lot of the local college sports teams down here in South Florida, whether it be FAU, USF, the Hurricanes, the Gators, they all send us stuff. We put it up there. It's on our website. Twitter at Tribune South. Scott tweets out a whole bunch of the stuff, so you can always check it out there. Our audio version of our shows are all available on wherever you get your podcast. iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, all those good things. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday and Thursday nights, you just never know what we're going to be talking about. Let's face it, we've talked about cornhole. We've talked about, let's see, what else have we talked about? We've talked about the hot dog eating contest. We've talked about NFL, NHL, NBA.
Have you talked about bowling?
Not yet.
I think,
Not
yes,
yet.
we have. Yes.
Oh, you have talked about bowling? All right.
I said it was another one of those sports you can drink beer while playing. But anyways, I do want to say we also have talked about child development in sports with that young man from Vegas.
Yes. I'm trying to think of what they're actually writing. They're actually doing a movie, and they're still working on it, and it's going to be released soon. What is his? No, I can't think of his name right now. But if you look back, you'll be able to see Where Our Children Play, I think, or something like that. And he talks about the development of children in sports and how they need. How should I put this? How they need molding and guidance and stuff like that, and how they help them with that. So
it isn't just about the exercises and other sports that help the core of the main sport they want to follow. It's also about their mental development and their psychological development in the sports thing. And he also helps the parents become better sports parents in the process if they're willing to do it. And I think that that's the biggest part of it with him, is that if the parents aren't on board on doing the training, guess what? He probably doesn't accept it because he doesn't want to scream at the ump or ref guy.
No.
As a parent of the child that's in his program. And it's actually relatively cheap right now. It is an online course. What is it called again? Do you remember, Candy? Because I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
I want to say it's Where Our Children Play.
Yes, Where Our Children Play. That's it. .org. And it's only $50 a month. And for that type of training, whether online or in person, is amazing. And what he wants to do with the online training is eventually get it to where he can branch out and open community centers across the country and around the world.
Right. Exactly. Where was I? Oh, Wednesday nights, Scott does a one-on-one interview show. It's on nofilter.net. Go check it out. You never know who he's going to have on there. He had, I think his name was Chip Tarkenton this last week. So, he's trying to work on getting Fran Tarkenton maybe at some point. You never know. But he's also working on some other big fish. And I won't divulge any of those details, but you can go to nofilter.net. Yes, you do have to sign up for it, but there is no cost for our show. Trying to think what else, if I've missed anything. I caught the website, caught Scott's books. Oh, if you see that red subscribe button, subscribe, share us, like us, share us with all your friends. Anybody that you think would benefit or like or enjoy our broadcast, definitely share it with other people. And again, I have said this numerous times. We have a plethora of people that come on and help our network. Please go out there and support them as well, because they're supporting us. We want you to support them as well. So whether it be Ralph, whether it be Smoking Jeremy B, there's numerous other people. I won't go into all of them, but if you see them on there, that most of them put or say where you can find them, go check them out as well, because like I said, without them, we wouldn't be here either, because otherwise it would just be me talking. And let's face it, no one wants to listen to just me talking. So, Jeremy, you want to end us like you always do?
Yes, of course. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way we can make the world a better place. It starts right here. It starts within you. Your attitude and how you react to situations out of your control is how you make this world a better place. Much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for all the guys watching on Kneecap Biting. Make sure you go over there and check on the South Florida Tribune. And if you like hearing about other teams, because I like this know thy enemy concept I have. I subscribe to a lot of teams podcasts because it's a good way to get news you don't normally hear in the mainstream media. Because there's some things that are only said behind closed doors and they don't come out until one of us people actually say it. But
Exactly.
check out Ralph at rwmedia.org because he has some great stuff at Ralph RW Media YouTube channel. South Florida Tribune. They have some amazing stuff, and we cover mostly sports. Occasionally, we might get into something off topic about sports, but hey, that's okay. Hot dog
One
eating
more,
is considered a sport because I can't do that many of them. Nope.
one more thing I forgot to plug. I forgot to plug the girls' show. Tuesday nights, 7:30. You can find me almost always, on Chicks and Salsa or Three Chicks and a Podcast.
And rumor has it I might be back next week again.
Oh,
We
wow.
didn't get to finish all of our topics in time.
No, we didn't. That's the one thing I will say. Sometimes we can get a little long-winded about certain topics, but that's not a bad thing. So come check all of us out. Have a wonderful week. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.